Hey, my name's Ellie. Welcome back to my channel. This summer I was traveling around the Pacific Northwest with my family, and this is the 5th episode in that series where we arrived in Forks, Washington.
I don't think those are for drinking.
Paraphernalia.
But Ellie, your shoes are
Yeah. This is funny. This is very funny. This is our Airbnb in Forks. We were staying in a really cute Airbnb.
Like, in terms of like the layout, like they're comfortable and it's big and spacious right here. And we have this big, we have an actual horror novels. Why is the table so tall? I don't know, but I guess the chairs are also tall, so
It's all really large. Maybe they're really tall.
we're doing a dark load.
We're doing a dark load and then we're doing a light load later, so you can leave your lights on the dryer or something if you have any. I'll put them in the lights. Let's see what's out the window. Just a cute little street. Jacob! Comment if you get the reference. Forks is located in sort of a central sort of bit of Olympic National Park in terms of where the roads are. So it's a good jumping off spot. If you're staying there, you can reach most places in the park within like a maximum of 2-hour drive or so from there, which for Olympic is pretty good. I would say Olympic National Park is actually the ideal place to go do like camping and hiking long distances, but since we were with family, we decided to stay in Forks as a base and then go do shorter hikes during the days. On this day we got up and it was beautiful weather outside, which is pretty miraculous for Washington, as you might know, and we were heading off to do a hike in the whole rainforest, which is kind of famous nowadays. I don't know if you've seen pictures of it before. It's all mossy and overhanging and green. It is where like the Twilight books are supposed to be set. It's not where the movies were actually filmed, it turns out, but the nature does look kind of like it does in the movies. So driving in to get to our hike, we had to go through the national park gates, and we have this national park car pass. It's called the America the Beautiful Pass, which gets you into national parks in the US for like a year or multiple years depending on how much money you pay. So we just used that to get in, otherwise I guess you could get a day pass or something. We were actually looking for the square inch of silence, so I don't know if you've heard about this concept, but there's a I think his job title is an audiologist, an eco-audiologist, something like that. Basically a man who focuses on recording sounds, and he designated a spot in the whole rainforest as the quietest spot in the continental United States. And he wrote a book about it, all about preserving quiet in the wilderness. It's a really good book, I'd recommend it. And so my sister and I had read this book, and there is a spot in the forest where there's a little red rock that designates the square inch of silence. So we tramped through the forest, on the path of course, to find this square inch of silence. And we found a lot of huckleberries along the way for snacks, which were super good. They're basically like teeny tiny blueberries, really fun. really, really beautiful and cool. And we found the square inch of silence. We almost gave up because it wasn't exactly where we thought it was going to be, but we did find it, and we didn't talk at all when we passed this spot because we wanted to preserve the quiet. And
aggressive mother with cabinet.
yeah, that was honestly a really cool experience. And then on the hike back to our car, we ran into a Roosevelt elk and some deer. And Roosevelt elk are pretty shy in terms of like human activity, so it was really, really cool that we got to see one. I think, yeah, there weren't that many hikers on the trail that day, and in the evening we made dinner at our place, and we had a bunch of smoked fish that we had bought in Astoria in Oregon, where they like had a lot of smoked fish places, which was really excellent. And then of course we had to end off the day watching Twilight. I feel like that was just like the peak, the ultimate place to watch Twilight is Forks, Washington. Yeah, and unfortunately that was the end of our time in Forks, and we left the next morning.
So it's currently day 6 or day 7, I'm not sure. And it's pouring rain. I feel like it has been pouring rain the entire time that we've been here, to be honest. So that's classic. And yeah, we're headed off to Port Angeles and Port Townsend today, but for right now we're gonna get some breakfast groceries and then we're gonna get on the road to this famous tide pooling spot called Salt Creek. It's raining, so raining. Stopped at the grocery store for some snacks and stuff along the way. I was really enjoying the G&T's kombuchas on this trip, and they have a flavor in Oregon that actually has algae in it from one of the big lakes in Oregon, which I thought was such a cool like regional kombucha flavor. So anyway, on our way away from Forks, we drove north to the northern edge of the park towards Joyce, Washington, which is coincidentally actually where the author of that book I was speaking about is from. At breakfast at the Blackberry Diner, which was just a really cute diner. There's honestly not that many food options around there, but it was really cute. It was like classic Americana. And then we went to Salt Creek River, I think it's called, recreation area, which is sort of a creek meets ocean place on the north edge of the national park. I think it's also technically a place where you can spot whales in certain seasons. Not in this season, unfortunately. But, and there's like tide pools there as well. So we had a fun time sort of walking around there. I wouldn't say it was particularly like a life-changing place to go, but it was really fun and a fun stop along the way before we were heading onwards to our hike of the day, which was going to be at Hurricane Ridge. So Hurricane Ridge is a really high ridge, as it says, but to get there you have to drive quite far east in the park and then back down south, but via like this really windy, steep mountain road, and it was intensely foggy when we were there. Like we could barely see anything, so it was kind of a scary drive up this road, which I think took about an hour drive up. And the whole reason we were doing this was to get to the top where there was supposedly insane views and just even a 15-minute loop hike that has like crazy beautiful views of the park. So we thought it would be a good option for our group. And so we drove up there, and you pass this place called Deer Park where there's literally deer everywhere, which was so cool. They were so close to our car and like so close to us and just like chilling, doing their thing, which was really fun. So we get to the top of Hurricane Ridge and it's literally covered in fog. Like we cannot see anything at all. There was even snow there, which was really cool, but like literally there was no way we were gonna see this amazing view that we had driven all the way up there for. So my grandmother actually ended up taking a nap in the car, and us kids did the 15-minute loop hike just for fun. It was like a fine hike, but it was literally like walking in a circle in a sea of clouds. So yeah, unfortunately Hurricane Ridge was not out there for us, but I think if you go when it's great weather, it probably would have been amazing. I literally have no idea. I've only seen pictures of it, and those looked really nice. The deer were still pretty cool though, because they were really close to us, so that was still fun. I like the way it prances. Now after Hurricane Ridge, we kept driving east. We were heading toward Port Townsend, which is like the tip that you reach at Puget Sound before you get down into Seattle. So we drove through Sikkim, I literally don't know how to say that place. It's a place in Washington. And we stopped there for a coffee, and then we went to a brewery that my sister wanted to go to that makes mead-based drinks from their own honey. And that was really fun. And then we just slept in like a random motel that I had found online a couple days before, and explored Port Townsend a little bit the next morning before catching our ferry. Port Townsend has a lot of Victorian-esque houses around, so it's a really pretty little town, and it's perched sort of high up on a rock around, like surrounded by mostly water. So it's a really cool picturesque place. And they also have a bunch of deer there just wandering around town,
which is pretty fun if you're visiting. And we had coffee in the morning at this coffee place right on the water. It's in one of these cliffs. I don't remember the name, but it was a really fun place to sit and have coffee because you look out over all the sailboats and everything. Really cute, and I felt like a lot of locals were in there as well as tourists. I think I could have spent a couple days in Port Townsend, to be honest. It's just a really charming small town vibe with a very like kind of old rustic downtown area. So we actually drove our car onto the ferry, which was pretty cool. I had booked tickets in advance because ferry tickets in this direction from Port Townsend to Whidbey Island, which is where we were heading, book out pretty quickly in the summer season. So we had bought the ticket for our car and the passengers in advance, and I think the ferry was, I don't remember how long it took. I think it might have been just like half an hour to get to Whidbey Island, which is one of the islands that surround Seattle, where actually one of my mom's best friends from college lives, of all places, and we went to stay with her and her husband in their house there. It was so lovely. And on the ferry I actually saw a baby harbor seal floating in the water, and we saw a bunch of harbor porpoises, which are kind of like mini dolphins, in the water as well. So that was really, really fun. And like I had read ahead of time that people enjoy seeing some of the islands around Seattle while they're there, and I would highly recommend this, having done this as well. I know there's other ones like besides Whidbey. Welcome back to the vlog. Today we are in Whidbey Island, which is off the coast of Seattle, about a 30-minute drive or so across a ferry. Yesterday we came here coming from the west, and we saw harbor porpoises, and I saw a baby seal in the water on the ferry, as well as like a bunch of jellyfish. It was so cute. The seal was like just about, I don't know, this big, like not that big, and it was so cute. And I saw its little head bobbing up in the water. Oh wow, and I'm seeing hummingbirds right now. Honestly, the wildlife on this trip has been like insane. Like I saw so many cool animals, and yesterday we also saw a few bald eagles, which I don't know if I'd ever seen a bald eagle, to be honest. It was just really amazing. And we're currently staying at one of my mom's college friends' house, which is just such a cute story. They met in college and they've been friends for like 30 plus years, which is so impressive. And I gotta go downstairs in a second and grab my coffee again. And then today we're gonna spend the day in Seattle, and then tomorrow as well. And then the next day I'm off on another adventure, which I will show you as well. After Whidbey, all there was really left to do was head to Seattle. So the next morning we packed up again, we got on another ferry, and we headed down into the big city, where we had booked a place to stay in West Seattle, which is kind of a tip that comes out southwest of the city. There's a beach there called Alki Beach, which was really nice, and it's a very sort of walkable, nice neighborhood with a lot of beautiful houses with front lawns that are really nice and curated. Honestly, Seattle is kind of a blur in my brain. We ended up going to Cary Park to see the beautiful view above Seattle, which I highly recommend. So we made it to downtown Seattle. We had lunch at this place called Pestle Rock. It was Isan Thai. Highly, highly recommend it. It's up in Ballard. And now we're heading down from Cary Park to downtown. We went to Park Place Market, of course, and tried some fun food options.
What are we in line for? Macaroni and cheese.
taking the ferry over into downtown Seattle from West Seattle, which was a really fun option and made West Seattle honestly a really good spot to stay in Seattle if you have time to go back and forth. The only annoying thing was that the ferry stops running relatively early in the day, so if you want to get back later in the evening, you do have to take an Uber and drive all the way around, which kind of sucks. But anyway, we also spent some evenings on Alki Beach where people were just hanging out and playing ball and having cookouts and that sort of thing. It was really nice. The cider. Yeah, you can try it. It is a little bit sweet, I would say. It says it's dry, but like it's more like a sweet cider-ish. But not in a super sweet way. Matcha latte. What did you get, Izzy?
Same as you.
Really?
Yeah.
Thanks. I really enjoyed walking through Seattle. We also visited neighborhoods up in more northern Seattle. I've literally forgotten all these names. Wait, I'm gonna Google this as we speak. Let's see. Something with a B. Is it Bellevue? I don't think it's Bellevue that I'm talking about. Ballard, that's what I'm talking about. So we went to Ballard and Fremont. And on my last day, I also went to the University District and checked out the University of Washington, since that was a school that I had always considered going to, and I was really curious to see the campus in person. Hello, welcome back to the channel. It is now day 11 of the road trip and I am in Seattle still. My family just left and I'm about to head up the street to where a friend of mine lives. I actually met this girl, well, a friend of mine that I met in my master's in London, got married while I was there, and I went to her wedding, and her husband now lives in Seattle. a short-term working a job here, so I reached out to him and he offered to go to a yoga class with me and go out to lunch, so that's what we're gonna do. I'm really excited. And today I'm gonna get on a flight to go to Guatemala. Sorry, I'm really out of breath. I just walked up this like steep hill, you can't really tell. So I'm flying via LAX to Guatemala tonight, and then I'm gonna land tomorrow morning at about 5 a.m. and then take a shuttle to Antigua. So it's a whole spiel, and I'm sure I'll be exhausted by the time I get there, but I'm really excited for Guatemala. And I gave my laptop to my younger sister so I don't have to do any more work on this trip. I was working on the research paper this entire time, and I finally like submitted the final draft to my co-authors, so now we're like done for now. So I'm just so excited to not have any sort of work at all. Like, it hasn't really sunk in yet, but that's just good. Like, that's just the best feeling, to like not be tied down to anything. I also had the best coffee I have ever had in my life at a Vietnamese place up in Fremont. Like, the coffee was called a sesame cream latte, and it was like so good. I'll insert a clip here. Hello, welcome back. So I am now at the UW campus, I think. I don't know. I just got off a bus, which is like, you can see the W behind me somewhere there. And I'm gonna walk down to the quad just to see it for fun, and then get back on the bus and head to SeaTac Airport. I just went to Fremont Brewing, which was such a fun place to go to, and had a little IPA, and I'm gonna have some leftovers, I think. Yeah, and then I got on my flight to fly onwards towards Central America, which is a whole nother travel adventures that I hope I will post some videos about soon. I just have so much footage, and I want to make it sort of a more structured, like, educational video, a bit about like how to plan your trip and where to go and what to do as well, rather than just a travel vlog. So I don't know when that'll be coming out, but comment the volcano emoji down below if you're interested in that video. Yeah, and then I just flew out, and the plane ride was honestly so amazing. I ended up sitting on the left-hand side of the plane, and I had the most amazing views of Mount Rainier and Cascades. It was so great. So yeah, that sort of wraps up my trip in Washington, the whole Pacific Northwest road trip in general. I really hope you enjoyed watching this series. If you haven't watched the other episodes yet, I highly recommend going checking them out on my channel. I think there's 5 of them. We drove all the way from Northern California up through Oregon and into Washington. I hope it gives you some inspiration if you're traveling in the area sometime soon, or just pretty footage to watch if not. That area of the world is honestly just so beautiful. I really loved going there, and I hope I can be back someday soon. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a great day, whoever you are, wherever you are. Bye!